Modern lie detectors measure heart rate, breathing, and skin conductance to catch deception. But 800 years ago, Rumi discovered something far more sophisticated. Your heart doesn't just beat differently when you lie. It actually disconnects from divine truth. He found that the heart has its own intelligence, its own way of knowing reality that operates completely independent of your thoughts. And when you speak falsely, this inner knowing creates a spiritual disturbance that manifests physically. To understand how Rumi arrived at this discovery, we need to go back to 13th century Konya, where Rumi was living as a respected Islamic scholar and teacher. He had spent years studying traditional religious sciences, mastering Islamic law, theology, and literature. But despite all his learning, Rumi felt something was missing from his spiritual life. Then, in 1244, everything changed. A mysterious wandering dervish named Shams arrived in Konya. When Rumi met Shams for the first time, he experienced something he had never encountered before, a human being whose heart and words were in perfect alignment. There was no disconnect between what Shams felt internally and what he expressed externally. His speech came directly from his heart, unfiltered by social conventions, personal fears, or the desire to impress others. This encounter shattered Rumi's understanding of truth and communication. He realized that most people, including himself, lived in a constant state of inner division. Their hearts knew one thing, but their minds said another. Their deepest feelings were often hidden behind layers of social politeness, self-protection, and the fear of vulnerability. But Shams was different. When he spoke, his words carried a power that Rumi had never experienced. It wasn't just the content of what he said, but the quality of truth that emanated from his being. Rumi described it as hearing someone speak directly from their soul, without any interference from ego, fear, or the need to manipulate others' perceptions. This experience led Rumi to a profound realization. The heart is not just an organ that pumps blood. It's a sophisticated instrument of spiritual perception, capable of detecting truth and falsehood with incredible precision. Unlike the mind, which can be deceived, confused, or manipulated, the heart operates on a different frequency entirely. Rumi discovered that when a person speaks truth, their heart resonates in harmony with what he called the universal rhythm of divine reality. The heart recognizes truth because it is itself a reflection of divine truth. But when someone speaks falsely, this harmony is disrupted. The heart literally beats differently because it's being forced to operate against its natural alignment with reality. In his masterwork, the Masnavi, Rumi writes extensively about this phenomenon. He explains that the heart has what he called immediate knowledge, a way of knowing that doesn't depend on reasoning, analysis, or sensory input. This heart knowledge operates faster than thought and is far more accurate than intellectual understanding. Modern science is finally catching up to what Rumi understood centuries ago. Research in cardiology has discovered that the heart has its own neural network, essentially a heart-brain with over 40,000 neurons. This heart-brain can process information, make decisions, and even influence the brain in our head. Studies show that the heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times greater than the brain's and can be detected several feet away from the body. But Rumi went much deeper than modern science has yet ventured. He understood that this heart intelligence is connected to what he called the source of all truth. When someone aligns their speech with their heart's knowing, they tap into a universal wisdom that transcends personal knowledge. But when they speak against this inner knowing, they create what Rumi described as spiritual friction. This spiritual friction manifests physically in several ways. First, the heart rhythm becomes irregular. Instead of the coherent, harmonious patterns that occur during truth-telling, deception creates chaotic heart rate variability. The heart literally struggles to maintain its natural rhythm when forced to support falsehood. Second, Rumi observed that lying creates what he called a closing of the chest. People who habitually speak falsely develop physical sensation of tightness, restriction, or heaviness in their chest area. This isn't psychological guilt. It's the heart's physical response to being disconnected from its natural function. As a truth detector. Third, Rumi taught that deception gradually diminishes what he called the light of the heart. He believed that the heart naturally radiates a spiritual energy that others can sense. People who speak from their hearts carry a presence that draws others and inspires trust. But those who habitually lie gradually lose this luminosity. Others instinctively sense something is off about them, even when they can't identify exactly what it is. But here's where Rumi's understanding becomes really practical. He taught that you can use your own heart as a truth detector, both for evaluating others and for monitoring your own relationship with truth. When someone speaks to you, pay attention to how your heart responds. Does it feel open, expanded, at ease? Or does it feel contracted, agitated, or somehow disturbed? Rumi discovered that the heart has an immediate response to truth and falsehood that operates faster than conscious thought. Before your mind has time to analyze whether someone is being honest, your heart has already detected the quality of truth in their words. Learning to trust this inner knowing, according to Rumi, is one of the most important skills for spiritual development. But the most profound application of this wisdom is self-awareness. Rumi taught that most people lie to themselves far more than they lie to others. We tell ourselves stories about our motivations, our feelings, our relationships, and our spiritual state that may sound convincing to our minds, but don't fool our hearts. When you practice paying attention to your heart's response to your own thoughts and words, you develop what Rumi called truthful self-knowledge. You begin to notice when you're rationalizing, when you're avoiding difficult realities, or when you're speaking from ego rather than authentic understanding. Rumi believed that this heart-based truth detection was not just personally beneficial, but spiritually essential. He taught that every time we speak falsely, we move further away from our true nature and from divine connection. But every time we align our words with our heart's knowing, we strengthen our spiritual development and increase our capacity for wisdom and compassion. In his poetry, Rumi often wrote about the language of the heart, a form of communication that transcends words and speaks directly from soul to soul. He believed that as people develop their heart intelligence and commit to speaking truthfully, they gradually develop the ability to communicate at this deeper level. This is why Rumi emphasized that spiritual seekers should practice what he called sacred honesty, a commitment to speaking only what resonates with their deepest knowing, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. This practice, he taught, gradually purifies the heart and increases its sensitivity to truth. Modern research on heart rate variability supports many of Rumi's observations. Studies show that when people feel appreciation, love, or other positive emotions, their heart rhythms become coherent and harmonious. But stress, anger, and deception create chaotic heart patterns. People who practice heart-focused meditation show improved intuitive abilities and better decision-making skills. But Rumi understood something that modern science is just beginning to explore: the heart's connection to what he called universal intelligence. He taught that when the heart is purified through truthful living, it becomes capable of receiving guidance and wisdom that transcends personal knowledge. This is why Rumi often spoke of the heart as the throne of divine knowledge. He believed that ultimately, all true knowledge comes through the heart, not through intellectual analysis. The mind can process information, but only the heart can recognize truth at its deepest level. Rumi's approach to developing heart intelligence involved several practices. First, he emphasized the importance of silence and meditation. Only in quietness can you learn to distinguish between the voice of the mind and the knowing of the heart. Second, he stressed the practice of speaking truthfully, even in small matters. Each time you align your words with your heart's knowing, you strengthen this inner connection. Third, Rumi taught the importance of surrounding yourself with truthful people. Just as dishonesty is contagious, authentic truth-telling creates an environment where others feel safe to be genuine. When you consistently speak from your heart, you give others permission to do the same. The ultimate goal, according to Rumi, is not just to detect lies, but to become so aligned with truth that deception becomes impossible. He wrote about this. State as the unity of heart and tongue, a condition where your words, feelings, and deepest knowing are all in perfect harmony. People who achieve this alignment, Rumi taught, carry a presence that others immediately recognize. Their words have power, not because of clever rhetoric or emotional manipulation, but because they come from a place of authentic truth. Others trust them instinctively because their hearts recognize the resonance of genuine honesty. Rumi also understood that this heart-based truth detection extends beyond words to actions and intentions. The heart can sense not just whether someone is speaking truthfully, but whether their actions align with their stated values, whether their motivations are genuine, and whether their spiritual claims reflect real inner development. This is why Rumi was so selective about his spiritual companions. He understood that your heart is constantly influenced by the hearts of those around you. Spending time with people who live in alignment with their deepest truth strengthens your own heart. Intelligence. But surrounding yourself with those who habitually deceive themselves and others gradually diminishes your sensitivity to truth. For Rumi, the development of heart intelligence was not separate from spiritual development. It was the foundation of it. He taught that until you can recognize truth and falsehood within yourself, you cannot make genuine progress on the spiritual path. And until you commit to speaking and living truthfully, your heart remains clouded and unable to receive divine guidance. This is why he considered the meeting with Shams so transformative. For the first time, Rumi encountered someone who had achieved this complete alignment between heart and expression. The experience showed him what was possible and inspired his lifelong commitment to developing the same authenticity in himself. The practical implications of Rumi's teachings are profound. In a world where deception has become normalized, developing heart intelligence offers a way to navigate relationships, business decisions, and life choices with greater wisdom and discernment. But more importantly, it offers a path to the kind of authentic self-knowledge that makes genuine spiritual development possible. Today, if you find yourself unsure about someone's honesty or your own motivations, try Rumi's approach. Place your attention on your heart. Notice how it responds to different words, different people, different possibilities. Learn to distinguish between the agitation that comes from fear or desire and the clarity that comes from truth. As Rumi discovered 8 centuries ago, your heart is already equipped with everything you need to detect truth and falsehood. You just need to learn to listen to its wisdom and trust its guidance. And when you do, you'll find that the most sophisticated lie detector ever created has been beating in your chest all along.